Good morning. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. This is your matchday news. This is Rangers versus Aberdeen. Rangers take on Aberdeen at Ibrox today, looking for their first home in the league in quite a few actually. We'll talk a little bit about that shortly. We'll talk about teams. We'll talk about possible formations and why I have absolutely no optimism that Barry actually gets it. Look, I just want to start off, guys, by saying a massive, huge thank you to all the love and support and messages I've had over the last few days. As you can imagine, since the 7th of May, when my mum passed away, this has been a absolutely appalling time, really difficult time for myself, for my family, for my children. It's quite unlike anything I've ever faced in my life. It genuinely is just terrible. It doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem. It just seems like she's gone out and she'll be back shortly, but she won't. And my mum was a massive part of my life, huge part of my life. A rock, an inspiration. She's who I base myself on. I work hard 7 days a week, like she did. I give my all to my family, like she did, and she's an inspiration. She always will be. But unfortunately, she's gone now. She's not in pain anymore, which is good. Not a horrible disease that took her. But I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone, guys. Reading your messages, reading your comments on the post that I put up the other day. It really has helped. It does help knowing that so many people thinking of you, giving you best wishes, giving you all the love in the world. And, having this Rangers family is phenomenal. It's phenomenal, guys. It really genuinely is. And I'll be honest with you, couldn't get through it without, obviously, my family that are around now, my children, my amazing girls, Becca and Laura, who are just my absolute world. And obviously you guys out there. And your love and support. Thank you so much for everything. Right, guys, let's move it on to the game today. Rangers looking to come good, to at least try and get a positive result today. I mean, you look at their home form over the last 5 games. Our last home win was 5 games ago. Our form coming into this game at home is a win, 3 losses and a draw. A draw obviously coming against Celtic. Our home form this season, I mean, up until Barry Ferguson was appointed, realistically, has not been that bad at all. I mean, we played 17, won 12, drawn 2, lost 3. Those 3 defeats all coming, just recently. Obviously, one of those was under Philippe Clement. We still average 2.24 points per game at home. We've still overwhelmingly got a positive goal difference at home, plus 26 at home as opposed to plus 7 away. We average 2.11 goals per game at home as opposed to 1.99 away. It's catching up with our away. We average 0.85 goals against. So overall, I think, more to do so with the start of the season. Our home form is not that bad up until very recently. And, if you add in the European games, I think it's no home win in 7 now, or 8, quite a few games now. And it's concerning. It is really genuinely concerning. And I think part of it, to be honest with you, is that since it kind of became clear that this season we were going to win absolutely jack all, obviously after we got knocked out of the Europa League as well, the players really did and have, to some extent, down tools and have just given up. And I'll be honest with you, it's disappointing to see. There's a lot of players out there that are getting paid a fantastic amount of money by this football club, and there's a lot of players as well who will move on at the end of this season and will not get paid as handsomely as they do at this football club. And there's a lot of footballers as well out there that need to realise, that they are at one of the biggest clubs in European football, in Glasgow Rangers, and they will move on. And they will not be at a club as big as Rangers. I mean, look, I'm not picking on individuals in particular, but look, I mean, if you take, people who've had strong links to other teams, you take Tom Lawrence, for example, who's been linked with a move to Wrexham. I mean, no disrespect to Wrexham, but Wrexham are not even in the same sentence as Glasgow Rangers, are they? He will not get paid what he gets paid with us. He will not get to play in a European football competition. He will not get paid. He will not be able to play with the chance of winning trophies, major trophies. With Wrexham. So at the end of the day, he's not the only one. There'll be other players that move on. Obviously, Robin Proper probably back into the Eredivisie, but not with a team that contends. These guys need to start to appreciate what they've done and what they've got here at the club, and perhaps start to put a little bit more effort in for the fans. Never mind for the manager or their teammates. That's gonna be the biggest one for me. The fans are obviously the biggest, most important factor in all of this, and I think you've got a manager who has genuinely lost the plot. He's like, he makes Michael Beale look like he knows what he's talking about. He really genuinely does. It's like watching your Rangers dad, doing a press conference every week, isn't it? It really genuinely is. My team are hungry for this game. Okay, Barry. Okay, son. You'd be sitting there, wouldn't you? Just shaking your head and going, "Dad, shut up, man. You're embarrassing yourself." I think overall, I've got a comment as well. And Barry Ferguson spoke as well, didn't he, this week about the manager's job, and I genuinely believe that he still thinks that he's got a chance of getting the job. And to be honest with you, I don't think for a minute he will get the job. I think you've got some far too intelligent football people involved with the 49ers and involved with Andrew Kavanagh and Greta Steinson and Kevin Thelwell to even think of appointing someone like Barry Ferguson. I do believe, however, that if the takeover were to collapse and the present board were left in charge, I think you would be left with Barry Ferguson as manager, and I think we'd finish third next season. People talk about Barry bringing in his own players. Well, he doesn't sign the players. It's the sporting director that signs the players. So I think you need to forget that one for a minute. And his managerial approach doesn't work. He's shown that, doesn't he, his previous clubs. 40%, I think, or 42%, something like that now, is his overall win percentage in all of his clubs. It's 33% at Rangers. Look, today's game, Aberdeen will come down and they'll come down and they will be absolutely bang up for this game, because they are always bang up for this game, aren't they? This is their Champions League final. This is their reason for being, isn't it? This is their everything. This is what they live for. Now they've got the Scottish Cup final coming up on the 24th of May. Obviously, their players will be playing for places in that game, which obviously gives their players something to play for. However, I'll put this out there now that game will not be as important to them as this game. That might be controversial. Aberdeen fans may disagree, but as well as I do that Rangers means everything to them, doesn't it? It is this is what they want, isn't it? They want to beat Rangers. That's all they seemingly want to do. And I'm reminded of a quote by the legend that is Graham Roberts, that said once that Aberdeen fans should be questioning their players and management when they see them play Rangers, that they give their all, their everything, and will die for the badge and die for the shirt against Rangers, but will lay down and die against most other teams. I think Graham Roberts even went on to say something along the lines, if Aberdeen played like they did against Rangers, against every team in the Scottish Premier League, they would stand a chance of actually winning the league. You look over their recent results. They lost last time out 1-0 to St Mirren. Previous to that, they beat in-form Hibs 1-0. Pre-split, obviously, you got the Scottish Cup semi-final. They beat 10-man Hearts 2-1. They drew 2-2 with us at Pittodrie. Prior to the split, they obviously won away at Ross County 1-0, beat Motherwell 4-1, drew 0-0 with St Johnstone, beat the Rangers Conquerors Queen's Park 4-1, drew 2-2 with Dundee United. They did, however, lose 5-1 to Celtic, and that's what we've got to realistically look to do against this team. It really isn't, rocket science, is it? You've got to go out there and expect to beat them. This is what this is. Look, I hate to use the phrase, but I'm gonna. It's only Aberdeen, and that's the truth of the matter. It's not like they're an elite team. Yes, they had a great start to the season under Jimmy Thielen. The new manager bounce was definitely in force, and then they fell away. They've come back to some extent. But you look at them, you look at how they play. Like I said, they'll be after us. They'll be up and at us as much as they can be. In this game. You look at their team. Last time they won was obviously a 4-2-3-1 formation. So Mitov, Jensen, Dorrington, Nosta, Shinnie, Palversa, Clarkson, Morris, Gay, Keskinen and Nisbet. Obviously, Nisbet, Guy and Clarkson, the players to really watch out for. And I think, Barry Ferguson's got to get his shape right. He's got to get his team right. Look, the last Old Firm game is done and dusted now. There's nothing left to play for. The Europa League is done and dusted. It's over. It's Manchester United versus Spurs in the final. It's El Crapico, as it's been named by some. El Spastico, as it's been named by others, which I think is a tad harsh. Personally hope that Spurs win it. As much as I hate Ange Postecoglou, I hate Manchester United more. Look, I think today, that there will be, I don't know, I'd love to see, I don't think for a minute this will happen, but I'd love to see Barry include some more of the youngsters. I'd love to see him change things around. I'd love to see him give some of those players that perhaps have not yet had as much of an opportunity to play in their natural positions and to play a full 90 to get that opportunity to play. I'm talking the likes of Casanwejo, Hamza, Danilo, Cortez, get them out there. My big worry is that Barry still thinks he's going to get the job. So he's going to play what he perceives to be his strongest lineup. Now, Barry's strongest lineup is perhaps not the strongest lineup we have at the football club, because Barry, to me, doesn't know what he's doing. He is, I believe, he's worse than Philippe Clement. He's more stubborn than Philippe Clement. His in-game management is worse than Philippe Clement's. His points per game is worse than Philippe Clement's. And his win percentage is worse than Philippe Clement's. And as much as I hated Philippe Clement and genuinely thought he should be sacked, Barry Ferguson has got it a lot worse than Philippe Clement. I mean, if I was to select the team tomorrow, I would go with Jack Butland in goal. I just do not rate Liam Kelly. It's like having a pub league goalkeeper in goal. Back four, look, as much as I would love to drop James Tavernier, it's never going to happen. Tavernier, I would go with Tavernier, Suter, Balogun and Hiefte. I don't know if Ridvan's fit. Midfield three, I would play with Dio, Raskan and Rice. I think, obviously, with the news that Hadji is out for the season, which is really disappointing. I think we've probably seen the last of Yanis Hadji in a Rangers shirt, if I'm being honest about this. And the front three, Cheney, Hamza, and I would like to see Danilo up there as well. Now, people say, well, you're playing him out of position. Well, yes and no. As we saw under Clement, when Danilo played on that left side of the three with Hamza, it worked exceptionally well. Hamza and Danilo dovetailed well. They changed position. There was a fluidity to it. There was a real, quality to it, wasn't there? And it worked. It gave us attacking threat. It gave us goal-scoring chances. It looked threatening. It looked better than when Dessers was there. Dessers and Hamza doesn't work. It genuinely does not. Hamza has to stay out on the left wing because Dessers won't move. He'll only stay in the middle. Hamza then gets forced out to the left. People then say Hamza's shit. He's rubbish. He's awful. Well, he's not a left winger. That's the simple task of it. Hamza's a striker. That's what that. If you put Nicholas Raskin out on the left wing, you'd see him struggle. I think if you put Nicholas Raskin at right back, you'd see him struggle. So you've got to look at it from that aspect. If you continue to play players out of position and not use them in their best position because you think you know what you're talking about, you think you know what you're doing, and like I said, Barry Ferguson clearly doesn't. You've got a situation there where you aren't going to get the best out of those players. Now, realistically, do I think Barry will do that? No, he won't, because he genuinely thinks he's got a chance to get the manager's job. So I think he'll probably go with a very similar back four. I think he'll put Kelly in goal because he quite clearly doesn't like Butland. I think midfield three, he'll go with Barron, Raskin and Dio. And I think he'll go with Cheney, Dessers and possibly Hamza on the left, possibly Bayrami, someone like that on the left-hand side. Dessers is shit. He's one of the worst strikers ever to play for this football club. The Dessers fans out there, all I'm going to say to you is the guy takes 10 chances to score one goal, misses sitters. He cannot be trusted. He cannot be trusted. And if you think Cyril Dessers is a good footballer, well, it's a great way to say that you know nothing about football, isn't it? For me, he'll start Dessers. I know that come 10:45 tomorrow, so 10:45 this morning, we'll see his name on the team sheet as the lead striker because he has some strange fascination with Cyril Dessers. I don't know what it is. I don't know how he gets in the team every week. I don't know how he gets in over Hamza when Hamza's clearly a better footballer. I think it just shows what a poor judge of players Barry Ferguson is and what a bad manager he actually is. For me, like I said, the season's done. It's over. I mean, I'd even like to see Finlay Curtis get some minutes out there today. Xander Hutton get some minutes out there today. some of those younger players come in and actually get some minutes, because genuinely, what the hell does it matter between now? I mean, like I said, the big problem is we've got a manager who thinks he's got a chance to get the job, who genuinely hasn't got a chance to get the job. I think it would be a lot better if we had someone who, genuinely didn't want the job, like a Stephen Davis, for example, someone like that, who, like a Kevin Thompson, who could come in and just play the kids and play some younger players, and give players that, need an opportunity to see whether these players have actually got a future with the football club. Players who, may well be here next season and may well have a part to play under the new manager, to see whether they can do it or not. Like I said, the issue is that Barry is quite clearly deluded. He thinks he's got a chance to get the job. Look, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Barry Ferguson to bits. He's a Rangers legend. He's staunch as fuck. He always has been. He loves the club. Of course he does. And I'm not, like I said, I love it. I'll always love him as a captain of the club. I will always love him as a player of the club. I just call it as I see it. As a manager, the guy has not got a Scooby-Doo. He is one of the worst managers in this club's history. And I mean, he's worse than Clement. He genuinely is. And you've got to be bad to be worse than Clement. He's worse than Le Guen. I'd take Graham Murty over him to the end of the season. I really genuinely would. I'd take Mark Warburton over him to the end of the season. That's how bad he is as a manager. I'd even take Sean Dyche as a manager over him. And I hate Sean Dyche. I can't stand the guy. I think he's the most boring negative manager in the Premier League. But, realistically today, we've got to see some of these players given the chance to go out and play in their rightful positions to show us what they can do. And look, I mean, call me a cynical optimist, but I genuinely believe that in the likes of Nicholas Raskin, Mohamed Diamonde, Bailey Rice, Finley Curtis, Danilo, Hamza, Tierney, whoever long he's at the club, still, we've got some good players. We've got good players, and it's how they're being coached, it's how they've been organised, and it's how they've been spoken to that is impacting their performances. The fact that Barry Ferguson is so unprofessional and throws them under the bus at every opportunity and blames everyone but himself, it is impacting the team's morale. Of course it is. If your boss is constantly coming out and slagging you off and calling you out and saying you're shit at your job, you're not going to have the best of morales, are you? So I think that's an impact on this team. Now, look, yes, the players do carry some of the blame. I'm not saying they don't, and I'm not saying the players are blameless, because they are. But I genuinely believe that if we had a good coach as our head coach, then, and that's what Barry Ferguson effectively is, not manager anymore. Now we've got a sporting director, a technical director. We would have a much better team on the park. You'd have a better organised, more progressive, more aggressive, better playing football team on the park. I honestly believe that if we brought in someone like, for example, let's take Marco Rosa, David Wagner, they would get much more of a tune out of this squad than Barry Ferguson does, because they'd not speak to them like they were children. And like I said, there are some good players in this team. John Souttar, one of the best defenders in Scotland. You've got obviously Nicholas Raskin, who's one of the best midfielders in Scotland right now. You've got Mohamed Diamonde, who is a quality player when he's used right. Connor Barron is decent. Bailey Rice is decent. Václav Černý is one of the most exciting players in Scotland. Hamza, if he's used in his proper position, is a good footballer. You wouldn't get the likes of Tottenham, Newcastle, West Ham and Everton looking at you from the Premier League if you weren't decent. Now, tell me this, how many Premier League clubs have looked at Cyril Dessers and gone, oh, fancy him to score goals? Absolutely none. Zero, zilch, zip, because he's shit. So there you go, guys. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I'd like to see an inventive attacking lineup today. I think we'll see the same old boring shit from Ferguson. And the same old rubbish comes out of his mouth before and after the game. Genuinely do. And if we do win the game today, and I really hope we do win the game today, we'll have the same deluded fans calling for Barry to be the manager, which is be bad for the club. But like I said, I do think that, we have the players capable of winning this game, and the players capable of doing better than we're doing if they're coached right. Add to that with 5 or 6 new signings, you've got the start of a very good team. A very good team with the right manager. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. Your matchday news, Rangers v Aberdeen on the 11th of May. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, subscribe and share. And remember always, never forget, we are the people.